All right, let's welcome in Jets forward Morgan Barron, fresh off signing his new 2-year contract yesterday with the club. Morgan, what's going on? Great to have you back on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Yeah, not too much. Thank you guys for having me.
First things first, congratulations on inking a new deal. Obviously, I mean, you had an arbitration date. I'm sure that's not anything anybody wants to get to. How involved were you in all of this? And tell us what you know and how it all came together.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was too involved in it. Obviously, that's why we have our agents. I didn't really want to be too involved with it. So, yeah, just really relieved it got done. Like you said, nobody really wants to get to that arbitration date, but just a good mechanism to kind of put a stop, kind of a deadline, I guess, on when the contract needs to be done by. So, yeah, relieved to have it done. And, I feel like it really started to come together probably a week or so ago is when we felt like we were close on the numbers. And then obviously just finding a solution where both sides are happy within the last few days. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, and I imagine, I mean, excited to, just have that behind you and excited to get going on 2 more years here in Winnipeg after, a season where in a lot of ways, I'm sure, you established yourself as much of a regular NHL player as before. And I imagine, tell us about where your confidence level is going into this new contract after the season and, of course, a memorable part of the playoffs that you just had.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get back. I felt like I kind of built my confidence all season. It was my first full year in the NHL, so was able to learn a lot, and I've really felt like the last 2-3 months of my season I was playing my best hockey. So, yeah, it's kind of put a little fire in my belly. I feel like I'm capable of a lot more than maybe I showed this year, which is always a good feeling. And I'm just excited. There's so much room to grow, and I think it's a great environment. We're gonna be able to remain competitive, I think, this season, and hopefully get into the playoffs and make a push. So I'm really excited about getting back, and I really feel great about where the group is at right now.
In addition to talking about the team, you came over in the Cop trade. You have 14 games at the end of the season, and then last year, your first full year in Winnipeg. How much more comfortably are you here in Winnipeg, and how have you enjoyed the city so far? And as far as making it your home for the next couple of years as you continue your pro career.
Yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable with it. Obviously, it takes a little while to get acclimated to a new place, but I'm really blessed and lucky to have all your teammates to help you kind of get settled in and share their favorite spots, their favorite restaurants, all those things. So, yeah, definitely excited to get back into the city. I've loved the food scene there. There's tons of great restaurants I've discovered. So that's been great, and just really enjoyed exploring, walking around, and yeah, just getting to know the city a little bit. But I really enjoyed it. I'll have my girlfriend there with me this year, so she'll get to explore a little bit more as well. So, yeah, we're looking forward to getting back there late August or September.
Morgan, as far as just one more on the contract, you mentioned it's the reason why you pay the agents. They kind of take care of most of things. They just keep you kind of up to date. Hey, things are looking pretty good. We're relatively close. And then you just get a phone call. Yep, it's done. We're going to send something over for you, or is there more to it than that?
No, that's pretty much it. Obviously, at the end of the day, kind of present you with what the current contract looked like or what the most recent offer from the team is, and advise you whether they think they're able to get more, or whether this is kind of the limit, or yeah, those types of things. So at the end of the day, it's always the player's choice. I think that's the main part of it, is keeping the player happy and making sure that they're at a salary or a wage where they feel valued and appreciated. And for me, that was the biggest thing. And like I said, I feel like we got to a spot where I'm happy. I'm really excited to go back, and I think the team's happy to have me at that number as well. So it should be a good 2 years to kind of continue to prove myself.
Morgan Barron of the Winnipeg Jets with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Morgan, there was a lot of anticipation of just, a ton of changes that could come with the Winnipeg Jets so far this year. There has been one big trade. Pierre-Luc Dubois, of course, is now a member of the Los Angeles Kings. Just interested in your perspective of the deal. And do you remember playing against Velarde or Alex Iafallo at all? And any thoughts on what they may bring to the team and how that forward unit might look a little different with PLD out, but 3 new players in competing for spots and trying to help the team get W's?
Yeah, first off, obviously, Doobie's a big loss for us in terms of, the ice time he played, the role he was able to play in producing. And he's one of my close friends on the team. I'll definitely miss having him around, but I feel like he's in a place where, he's going to be able to excel in his career and hopefully have a long, successful tenure in Los Angeles. And, look at the pieces we got back. I feel like we've done really well. all three of those guys can really play. I know playing against them a few times this year. Each unique players, but I think there were players who stood out to me and that you noticed pretty quickly. I mean, Iafallo has tons of speed, and Velarde, obviously, I think he scored a few goals against us, and Kapari was around that as well. So, three really good players. I think it just adds to the depth we're going to have. And you look at the team Vegas had and how deep they were up front this year. And, it was obviously a big part of their success down the playoffs and down the stretch. So, if we can build something like that, I feel like we'll be in a good spot. And I think we're well on our way.
And in a lot of ways, depending on us and other changes, it could fundamentally sort of change the way the Winnipeg Jets roll four lines and look to take on teams. And as a guy that's been a big part of that third line, but if you want to do the delineation, if you will, between top six, bottom six, I would say that, with the addition of these players, the responsibilities of scoring goals, of playing more minutes is probably going to be distributed a lot more throughout 1 to 12 of that forward group. And I imagine that's something that excites you.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like everybody in that lineup probably feels like they're capable of a little bit more than we showed at times this year. So that's all you can ask for is the opportunity, and then you hope that you're ready to prove yourself. And with the way last year ended, I think we have a lot of guys in that room who are really hungry and who are going to take advantage of that opportunity. So from everyone I've talked to, we're really excited to get back to Winnipeg and get going. It's been a long off season already, and obviously we're starting to creep closer to camp. But just the way that roster is going to be made up, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think we're in store for a good season.
Hey, Morgan, what are you like when you're out of Winnipeg? You're back home on the East Coast in Halifax. Listen, certainly not as much right now, but leading into the draft, there is so much speculation and rumor going around, and a lot of it was around your club. Is that something you pay attention to very much, or kind of hear it from your buddies asking you about something? You're like, oh no, haven't really been had my finger on the pulse. Got to get a new contract first before I worry about everybody else.
Yeah, this year especially, I feel like it was pretty hard not to follow it, right? Like there's a lot going on, and I just follow hockey in general. So our team was obviously at the center of it quite a bit, but you kind of try to bury your head a little bit. I know there's so many rumors and speculation, like you said, and I don't think all that is necessarily good to wrap your head around. So most of it was just kind of what came out from the team, or you'd get a text from a guy or someone on the team, a teammate, and kind of have an idea what's going on through that. But definitely followed it closely. It's going to affect my livelihood and in our competitiveness and all those things next year. So I followed it loosely.
Morgan, speaking of your head, how's your eye doing? How's the
the
cut as it comes back? I can barely see it.
Yeah. Most people seem to be happy with it, or seem to. I know my mom isn't thrilled with it still, but it's good. It's fine. Days you wake up and don't think about it until someone asks you about it. So you've brought it top of my mind for the rest of the day. But
yeah, I'm sure Mom is in reality quite happy that it happened in 2023 than 2003 or 1983. I have a feeling that there'd be a little bit more. The memories would be a lot more out there if it wasn't. It really was kind of incredible to think about the amount of stitches and what those doctors did, and how contained it is and how good it looks now.
Yeah, well, they're plastic surgeons. We're lucky. There's not plastic surgeons every rink, but believe it or not, there was a few plastic surgeons at the game in Vegas. So it was a pretty great place to have it happen to me, all things considered. And, I'll always be grateful for them. They stitched me up and kept me looking as pretty as possible. So, they didn't have much to work with, but they did a great job.
The reaction to that really was wild. That was the ultimate hockey guy story. Going back, getting stitched up like that, coming back to the game in a playoffs. It was on the front of PTI. It was all over the place. Like, how much of that hit you? And was there any interaction that particularly surprised you, that they were talking about what had happened to you and how you came back for the Winnipeg Jets in the crunch?
Yeah, it got a lot more attention than I thought it would. So it picked up pretty quick. It was obviously, I had a lot of text messages and stuff after the game. So it was nice to have people reaching out. I know my dad loves Charles Barkley, and there's something, I don't know what podcast it was on or something, with him chuckling about it and talking about NBA players and NHL players and all this stuff. So he was particularly excited about that one, I think. But at the end of the day, they put the freezing in it with the needle and then stitched it up. So really, I didn't feel the side of my face for the rest of the game. And the next few days were a little tough, but once we got through that, it wasn't too bad. So I almost feel like I've been given a lot of credit that maybe I don't fully deserve, but it was a pretty crazy experience just going through all of it for a few days.
Jets forward Morgan Barron with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. How's your summer been? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you would have been like to be a little shorter. I mean, we talked about what happened in the playoffs, but back in Halifax, how you been keeping? And I guess I'd imagine right now this is sort of a time where you really ramp things up, getting ready for August and the beginning of a very important year for you and your team.
Yeah, no, it's been a good summer so far. You usually take 2 or 3 weeks off, once things wind down. It's been busy, obviously. I feel like every summer is busy. Once you get to this age, you're traveling around a little bit and catching up with some of my buddies from school and all those things. But we've probably started cranking it up here the last 2-3 weeks and on the ice a little bit more, and then obviously in the gym and doing our prehab and all those things. So, it's been a lot of fun so far, but this is really the time of the year where I think everybody starts getting a little antsy and getting a little bit excited for the season, which is a good feeling. Time is flying by, so we're only a few weeks away here, and we'll be back in Winnipeg for camp and getting things started. So it's definitely an exciting time.
From a strictly like off-season, holiday, vacation perspective, what has been the highlight of your off-season so far?
I went to France for about 2 weeks after the season, so that was a lot of fun. It's part of the world I had never really been to. That was probably the highlight. I really enjoyed it over there.
Food was good?
Food was great. The food is always good over there.
But you mentioned, now it's back to it. You're getting on the ice a bit. Here in Winnipeg, a lot of the local guys are here. I mean, Kelowna, it seems like half the National Hockey League is skating. They might need another rink in the summer for the amount of NHL guys. What's the skate like out in Halifax in Nova Scotia for you and the NHLers? I mean, how often you're on the ice, and who are you mixing it up with?
Yeah, we're really lucky. We have a good group here of guys and kind of different stages of their careers, but obviously there's some pretty famous Nova Scotians who have had a ton of success in the NHL. So to have those guys out there and be able to mix it up with them and kind of pick their brains has been awesome. And my brother and I have really just started skating with them the last 3-4 years. And it's just a ton of fun to go at the rink. We're usually out there about 3 times a week now this time of the summer. And it sets a good pace for us to try to keep up with. So, it's great to be back on the ice, and feels like it's a great way. Most of those guys, I'm just chasing them around, trying to keep up out there. So, if you can keep up with the Crosbys and the McKinnons and the Marchands of the world, you should be in pretty good shape.
That is, and that must be wild for you because, I mean, you're still a relatively young player, and especially someone like Sid, who has been an icon in the game in all of Canada and the world, never mind in your neck of the woods. What do you remember about the first summer skate when you're on the ice and going like, good Lord, I mean, I'm going up against 87.
Yeah, I was probably the most nervous I've been on the ice in my career. And it's funny because it's usually a June or July skate in the middle of the summer. You wouldn't think there'd be anything to be nervous about, but obviously a special player. And I think people in my generation or my era definitely grew up looking up to him. Especially in this neck of the woods, like everybody grew up idolizing him. So pretty cool just to be out there rubbing elbows with him, and hopefully we continue to do it.
Hey, your brother Justin going into the final year of his ELC with the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, obviously you've had a chance to play against him, but when you guys are going at it in the summer, I mean, everyone that has a brother, especially that's close to them in age, knows what those battles are like. How would you characterize going at it with little bro when you guys hit the ice in the off season when you're getting ready for next year?
Yeah, they sent us home with the same colored jerseys this year. We both have dark blue on, so it's probably good for our sanity around the household. We get to play on the same team instead of against each other. But I really enjoy it. I mean, it's just so cool and awesome that I have someone to kind of share the experience with. And I feel like our battles have slowly transitioned to the golf course now. We're playing a lot of golf against each other these days, which can be equally as stressful, and if not more so sometimes. So just grateful I get to share the experience with them. We live together here, so I see them a lot, spend a lot of time together.
Listen, that's great. I mean, obviously you don't see each other a ton during the season, so you make the most of the off season. And obviously those skates sound a lot of fun. Listen, Morgan, before we go, I would say most NHLers probably spend quite a bit of time on the golf course, but I'd imagine that you're going to be spending a lot of time on the golf course because it was announced yesterday after you re-signed that you will be playing in the PGA Tour Canada Fortinet Cup Manitoba Open coming up in mid-August. Tell us how that all came about and how you're feeling about teeing it up with a pretty good field of golfers.
Yeah. Well, I'm feeling pretty nervous about it, obviously. I know we're still a few weeks away here, but I'm working pretty hard to get my game together. Been pretty sporadic in terms of how much I've played the last few years, but this summer I've been grinding out in the course quite a bit on weekends and stuff. So, it just came together a few weeks ago. I know Wheels was supposed to play in it, and I'm sure he probably would have fared better than I probably will. He's a good golfer, but with his move to New York, there was an empty spot, and I think I was probably third or fourth on the alternate list, but the other guys couldn't make it, so I got the call. So, just trying to scrap my game together now. I have a few weeks to figure things out and, hopefully go out there and not slow anybody down, not embarrass myself too badly. But, I mean, it will be a pretty cool experience, all jokes aside. I know it would be something not a lot of people get to experience, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, great tournament, great course. It has been, I've been out the last couple of years, especially with one of the Winnipeg Jets participating in it, and it's been great. And I think your presence is going to really help the event too. A lot of fans that maybe wouldn't have come out will go out and see just how good this tournament is. Just before we go, speaking of golf, I actually am quite envious just thinking about your preparation for this, because you happen to live in a part of the world with, frankly, some of the most beautiful golf courses on the planet. Do you make it around Nova Scotia, taking in some of those beautiful tracks?
Yeah, we're really lucky. Obviously, I think with the two Cabot courses that got built a few years ago, that really put us on the map. But there's so many great tracks kind of around the province that we've been lucky to play. So it's been a busy summer. Most of my time has been spent kind of in the Halifax area, but even here there's some great courses to play. So they're doing their best to kind of prepare me for what I'm sure will be a tough setup there in Manitoba.
Well, I'm sure most of our listeners and viewers are most hoping that you have an incredible season, but we'll also wish you well and have an incredible tournament and just a great experience as part of that coming up in August. But Morgan, thank you so much for the time. I know people are fired up that you're back for another couple of years. Congratulations on the new deal. Have a great summer, and we'll look forward to seeing you back for the golf tournament and then in training camp in September.
Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and I'm looking forward to getting back.